Hey guys, welcome back, and as promised we're going to have a look at a strathspey and how we apply the rhythmic template and how we use the metronome. Strathspeys are by far the hardest type of tune we play in a pipe band to do this with, and just generally speaking they are considered the make or break in many performances. So let's see what we can do to try and understand how we can improve the process of learning a strathspey and perfecting it with these techniques of rhythmic templates. So let's get going with that. What I've done here is I've written out a strathspey, and I've tried to include 4 different bars. One in which we have the dot and cut rhythms that you find that we play, that's so that these notes are either side of a group of 4. In the second bar we have triplets from the second beat until the first beat of the third bar. In the third bar we have now a combination of these 2 rhythm templates. We've got either side of a group of 4, the dot and cut, we have 2 of those, and we have a triplet thrown in 2. In the last bar we're running through all in triplet timing. So let's have a look at how this affects our interpretation and how we use the metronome template. A point to note, and this is very important, when you listen to what the pipers are playing in a strathspey, what they're doing is always going to be much closer to that. Their rhythms are going to be based on the dot and cut, and when we then break into triplet stuff, our rhythms deviate slightly from what they're playing, and it can be extremely tricky to work around. But this is just the way drumming has evolved. So what we do is we tend to largely base our strathspey playing on triplets, and this creates a slight contrast. So our rhythms are there to support and color in and provide a meaningful, varied rhythmic accompaniment to the piping, and not necessarily to directly replicate their melody. To simplify this, all we need to remember, when you got that dot cut, make it count, and when you've got triplets, make sure you're playing triplets. That's an oversimplification, but that's just something to keep in mind as we go forward. So once again, the basic metronome setup. Strathspey is typically 120, 124, something along those lines. Practice purposes, 116 is great. Allows you to get into those details, build up. So here we are, just a 4/4 crotchet beat, and the first bar, all I'm trying to do there is I'm trying to wait after the dot. Wait after the dot. I'm trying to make sure that my beat notes fall on the beat. So I'm very conscious of those pauses. I'll try and illustrate further. Wait, wait, wait before. So we're going to try and make this roll short, and we're going to push this note towards that beat as far as is comfortably possible and as far as what musically feels right. We're lucky in that when we play this sort of rhythm, we can just listen to the melody and go along with that. Okay, when we do Let's go back to our triplet setting as we had them for the jig. So change the subdivision to triplets, and now we can easily see how that bar, we can pretty much approach it as we approach a jig. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's nothing too tricky about the interpretation there. Here's the pitfall. So I would like to keep the triplets going on the click, because there's so many passages in the tune that are going to be in that format and that I want to lock into. So now when I play the first bar, I have to try and ignore the triplet pulses, the triplet clicks from the metronome, and I'm going to try and land the beats in place, but the subdivisions are going to differ in the first bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm really trying to weight those dots. If I think too much in triplet timing there, I'm going to end up playing. I'm going to describe 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. Now that is actually not too far from where we need to be, but we just have to keep in mind that we can enhance our sound, and we can enhance the piping by holding on to those notes a little bit longer. Something else to be extremely aware of, and this is where strathspeys become even more difficult, but just having a general awareness of this will go a long way. We don't have to become too complicated. Just remember, you might find you've practiced that bar, right? The pipers are going to play this note, and they're going to wait a little bit longer before the second note comes in. So what you've practiced might have to adapt slightly when you join with the pipe call, when you play the strathspey in the band. This can also differ depending on how the strathspey is being phrased by the pipers. This can be a matter of taste. It can vary from tune to tune. Some players will do a one-bar phrase, so they'll stress the first beat of each bar. They'll wait slightly longer there, slightly longer there, and it's our job as drummers to be sympathetic to that, especially the leading drummer. Leading drummer and pipe major lock into each other musically, and the rest of the drummers need to fall in with that interpretation. The entire rest of the band need to fall into that interpretation. It can also happen that the pipers employ a two-bar phrase, where they would stress that note, perhaps wait a little longer there, and then move through that a lot more metronomically. That is an interpretation that has come in more modern times. So figure out from your pipe major, or the piper who's accompanying you, what the best approach is going to be. So let's do those two bars. Now I'm going to use a one-bar phrase. So I'm going to wait a little longer here, a little longer here, and I'm going to make sure I get through these passages to land back on the beat. So here it is with that click again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. So pause, pause. So the end result is we can copy the triplet pulses when we get to the triplets, and we need to make sure that the beginning and the end of the phrase are landing on the beat. But there can be some deviation within the bar, within the phrase, in order to create the sort of strathspey feel and make the music that we need to make. Let's move on then to bar 3, where we've got a combination of the two rhythms that we can play as a drummer in the strathspey. The groups of 4, the groups of 3. I want you to pay attention to what's happening there. In this third beat group, we've got a dot and cut. However, this can be written as a triplet, and actually is more often played that way. If you were to hold on to that note slightly long and play that as a true dot and cut group, you end up in trouble, and this roll becomes quite difficult to play in a way that feels good to us, and rhythmically, and in terms of what our hands are used to doing. So I would recommend, when you play the roll here, go right through in triplet feel, but here at the beginning of the bar, let's make that dot and cut really count. So let's play the third bar there in the strathspey. One, two, three, four. I'm going to pause a bit after the first beat. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, pause. And I'm going to make sure that I get that last tap on the money to start the last bar. The last bar is the easiest of them all. Run through it as you would any bar of compound time. You might wish to slightly lengthen that note, but that's making things quite tricky, and I would say that's not necessary unless you're playing at an extremely high level. So just have a general awareness of what, how the music feels, and but your approach is just to move through those triplets and try and keep the meter going throughout that bar. Okay, so let's play all 4 bars now. Let me just get that all onto the screen, and I'll try and point out to you what I'm thinking as I move through these 4 bars here of strathspey. 1, 2, 3, 4. So pause, 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 move through. That's the general idea. So you don't have to you don't have to think too deeply about what you're doing. Just think, am I describing triplets where I'm supposed to be, and am I giving the dots and cuts the correct sort of poise, and am I making those line up with the melody, because those are your points where you can help out the pipers and where it will already feel good to you playing it, to know that you're creating a strathspey sound. One further point that I wish to bring up, because we're used to the notes that we're playing as a drum corps lining up with points along the melody. Some drum corps fall into the trap when you're in this compound time feel of trying to make some of these key rhythm points match up with a certain note in the melody. And because our rhythms are slightly contrasting, we can land up in a lot of trouble. So, you know, let's say in the second beat group here, they being the pipers could play a group of 4 where we're playing a group of 3. So that third note there, that drag, is not going to line up with the note in the piping melody. So just be aware of that. Aim for your principal beat notes stress the main phrase definition points, and you kind of have to see the drumming as a separate entity and not try to pinpoint notes in the melody. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about strathspeys. Thanks for watching, and keep safe, keep sane, keep positive. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. I would like to say that I've seen and heard of a lot of positive things happening during this time. There is a sense of togetherness despite the fact that we are all in this isolation. So yeah, let's just keep working together, keep drumming, keep yourself busy, keep positive, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.